So we do these once a month, and the idea is to give back to our referral partners. Maybe teach them something, give them something new, maybe give them a sales skill, or this one right here is know your numbers. So it's about personal money. It's about how much you need to retire. It's about what's a real conversion rate, like how many leads do you really need to get a deal done. So that you guys know who the people on here who don't know me. I've been doing loans 27 years, and I was a coach in the core, which is a training company, for about 19 or 20 of those years. And so for 20 years, I coached some of the top realtors and lenders in the nation. So I got to see lots of businesses and how they do it. And so all the stuff I share with you is stuff I learned in that opportunity, in that time frame. At the core, if you want to be a member, or if you want to come to an event, if you want to get coached, you have to do at least 40 million a year as a realtor. And last year they had 32 realtors who netted $1 million, which means they grossed probably 1.6 to 2 million after expenses and all that. So we're talking about qualified people, and we're not talking about, sometimes there'll be a big team. You ever seen that, Jay?
What's that, bud?
A big team, like you'll see a realtor who says they do 20 sides a month, but really they have this big team of agents under them who are kind of doing the deals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I see down here.
Yeah, and so then those business plans are great, and I have nothing against them. They normally don't net a lot of money, right? And so for me, I go to work so that I can go home and take care of my family, right? So I want to be super effective, super efficient. I want to know what's real, and I want to save some money along the way, so someday maybe I don't have to work.
Sounds good for just about anybody, I think.
I think so too. I mean, once you get there, you could retire, or you could just pick and choose what you want to do and who you want to do it with, right? Go on a listing appointment and you're not feeling it. You could be like, you know what? I'm going to save us all some time. I feel like there's not a match, and I got to go to a soccer game and just bounce, right? And be respectful. That would be the ultimate goal, is to be able to pick and choose your clients. We usually have 50 to 100 people on here, so knowing your numbers is apparently not a sexy topic, but it is. I think it's super important. So I'm going to go through some stuff, and then I'm going to leave a bunch of time at the end for like Q&A. Maybe we can work on sales and things like that. All right. Usually I make everybody turn their cameras on, but I'll be super nice today. I didn't get to. So I'm gonna work on the staple your feet to the ceiling.
Yeah.
I didn't even get to take a shower this morning because of my dang kids, but I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna tell them the story about Jay Burrows. I might even have you talk to him. Might Zoom you in at my house.
I wouldn't advise that. I mean,
You could be the heavy, bro.
I get away with it because it's my own kid, but I mean, I will say this: my kid gets straight A's. I sleep in every morning. He gets himself ready. He's only 10. So I mean, I have a very well-oiled machine.
Well, I may set up a one-on-one call with you, bro.
It's all right with me.
Cool. I'm always looking at tips to be a better dad. Most important job I have. Someone's blowing me up. All right. So listen, I want to start with how much money do you need to retire? So I have this form. So in a minute, I'm going to share some screens. This class is know your numbers. So if you work for me and you're a loan rep or whatever your position is, I want you to fill this form out also. You got it?
Yeah.
Matt? Cool. Becca? Amelia? I know some of you guys are super young and you don't think you're ever going to die, but you are. And you don't think you're ever going to want to retire, but you are. Until I was about 45, I thought I was never going to get old. Then my hair started falling out, and then I knew for sure I was going to get old. All right, so Rebecca, if you could, and guys, any of the forms that I'm going to show you today are available to you. All you got to do is contact the loan rep that invited you. So Jay would get it from Christy White. So if you're here and and one of the loan officers at Summit invited you and you want these forms, which I highly recommend, you can email them and they will send them to you after this event. Sound good? All right, it does sound good. This is going to be exciting. It's lecture mode, Ryan. Lecture mode. Oh, we got some people in the office over there. Are they eating? Yes, they are eating. All right. So this is how much money you need to retire. So we're going to do it together. You could do it on a blank piece of paper in front of you as we go through this. So we'll go through each line and you can fill out your numbers and I'll take questions along the way. Are you ready, Becca? All right, let's see it. Can you make it be just one or no? That's all right. Yeah, they can see that. That's pretty good. You guys see that? I'll take that as a yes.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes,
Jay's the only one. Jay's the only one with guts. I want Jay on my side in the bar fight. All right. So this is like the roadmap like usually I go through this big long thing where like, why do you work? Why do you work? Why? And what people end up getting to is that they don't have enough money in the bank, or they have too much debt, or both. And what they really want is to be able to save money for security. And then once they have a little bit of money for security, what it usually ends up being is they want to save money and take care of their kids, right? They want to leave them something. Not everybody has that goal, but I would say 80 or 90% of the people I talk to, they would like to leave their kids more money than maybe their parents left them. But even if you don't have kids or you don't want to do that, what I always land on for me is like, listen, guys, I've been saving money. I've been part of this system I'm going to teach you for over 20 years through good markets and bad markets. So the three things it does for me by paying attention to this stuff every month, when a bad market comes, I don't freak out. That's pretty valuable, right? I can weather the storm. I'm going to last through a turn. So that's the number one thing it did for me in my business. The second thing it does for me is, have you ever been around a salesperson and they just seem desperate? Like they're just over closing you like every chance they get. I call it commission breath. And by following this system and saving money and paying out bills, it makes it so you don't come off that way. Like, and that's a way better way to take care of other people. So it gets me through downturns. It makes me a more professional salesperson in that I'm really helping them versus just worried about making money. And then the last thing it does for me is, it gives me choices. If my kids need extra help and tutoring, I can afford it. If we got to go to therapy, I can afford it. If we got to go to the doctor, I can afford it. If the truck breaks down, I can afford it. So it gives me more choices to take better care of my family. So those are three reasons why I think it's important to pay attention to money and these numbers I'm going to share with you. And you may have your own, but whatever it is, I recommend that you write it down. Like if you had $3 million in the bank, what would it do for you? I recommend you write it down so that you can refer back to it when you get distracted. Like, I hate to use superlatives, so I won't, but most high producers, most super successful people, kind of weirdos. They're pretty weird people. Like they're pretty unique. Like it's less than 2% of the population that has a job that's 100% commission. So like 95 to 98% of the people that you meet are not like you. And part of the thing that I see amongst salespeople that are successful is we have addictive personalities. Like whatever we're into it. And so one of the secrets is be into the right stuff. And then you get more results. So this was all taught to me. And when it was, one of the things that they said was, I have to pay it forward. So that's why I teach it to other people. So we're going to go through this real quick. Done with me blabbing. Those are the whys. So number one, it makes some assumptions here. It assumes a 5% rate of return or $50,000 a year per $1 million. So what that's saying is, if you have $1 million in the bank, this is when you're retired. If you have $1 million in the bank, for every million you have, it'll kick off about $4,000 a month. Okay. And I think that's pretty realistic. I think for the previous 3 or 4 years, it was less than that when the government was artificially lowering rates. When I first got into the business, the expected rate of return was 10%. So I think that this 5% number and about $4,000 a month per million in the bank is a good, safe number. I believe in not overselling stuff. So what that means is that you wouldn't have to touch the $1 million, and you could spend the $4,000 each month, so that the $1 million would still be there when you passed away, and then you could do what you wanted with it. So I wanted to make sure that part makes sense. Any questions on that from anybody?
Oh,
All right, cool. So future value survival numbers. This here says survival number, add 50% to 200% depending on your age and lifestyle. So when you go to financial planners, I'm going to need some feedback from people that are realtors on this call. So figure out where your mute button is, and please don't make me be the only one yapping today. So who has a financial planner, like uses one? Nobody?
I'm working on one.
Okay, cool. That's good.
So
Brandis,
this is helpful.
she's texting. Do you have a financial planner? It's okay. You're allowed to text.
Nope, I don't.
You don't? All right. Anybody have one? Including my people? Anybody have one?
Yeah, I
John?
have one.
You do, John?
Yeah.
Cool. How'd you pick them?
He actually came into an office meeting at my office and gave his whole spiel there. And yeah, it's been a good thing.
Cool. So for the rest of you, at some point you need to get one, but I want to give you some advice real quick. So in every industry, this is like loan officers, realtors, lawyers, therapists, financial planners. In every industry, about 80% of them are no good. They're just not very good. About 20% of them are good. And about 5% of them are really good. And if you look around your office, if you're a realtor in a big office, you'll see that that's pretty accurate. And the same thing happens in, uh-oh, she left me. Why'd you leave me? Okay, she's okay. She's working on it. So what I'm saying is when you go to hire one, you know, don't just meet one and decide. Make sure you get referred to one and make sure that you interview them. And I'm going to tell you what you want them to do. When you hire a financial planner, you are not hiring them to pick stocks, okay? You're not. Their company tells them what stocks to pick. It's not what you hire them to do. What you hire them to do is meet with you once a month and make you do all the things you should do. Like Jay, you need a living trust, okay? If you don't have one, you need one. You need life insurance, and I can tell you how much to get. You need someone to make you update your trust, make you update it every 2 years. You need a forum that can calculate your real rate of return from your investments. You need to hire someone that will make you do all this stuff. Because if you're like me, you're so busy that you intend to get to it. You wake up 2 years later and you ain't done it yet. So
Right.
what I think you hire a financial planner for is to make you do stuff that you should be doing outside of investing in mutual funds and stocks. And that you meet with them once a month by video and once a year in person. And that when you hire them, you tell them, if you don't make me do this stuff, you don't follow up and make sure I did it, I will fire you and go somewhere else.
Jim, can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah.
How much does a financial planner usually cost?
So they usually cost between 0.75% and 1.5% to 2% per year of the managed funds. And what most people do is never ask them how they get paid. So you got to ask them how they get paid. And usually they'll, once you have $1 million with them, they'll go to 1% or less. And below that, they'll want more. But that only makes sense if they're making you do the stuff I just told you.
Right.
If you're just going to buy stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, then you should use what's it called? Plum, Apple. What's it called? The app. It's like E-Trade, It's the one the young people use. What's it called?
Robinhood.
Robinhood. You should use Robinhood. The reason you should use Robinhood is because it's the cheapest and you can buy fractions of stocks. So like one share of Apple, let's say it's $600. You could buy $100 worth of Apple. They would give you a fraction. So they don't all do that. Robinhood does it and it's pretty cheap. If you're just going to buy, listen, if you just want to buy something and not worry about it, buy the S&P 500 index. Just buy that every time and don't worry about it. Don't hire a financial planner. Just put it all in there, because when you go meet with these guys, they always compare themselves to the return on the S&P 500 and they charge more. So if you're not going to use them for what I taught you, just do that. Now, so that's kind of a tangent. So I'm going to set it aside and I want to get back to this form. But you can ask me any question as it comes up, Jay. I like it. All right. So right now you got to fill this out. What's your current survival number? So how much money do you think you need a month in retirement? Once you're retired, you don't got to save no more money, right? You get to spend it. Your kids are gone. You don't got to pay for them no more, hopefully. Jay, for sure, his kid will be gone. He'll be in the Marines or something like that. So your kids are gone. You don't buy cars as often. You don't drive them as much. They don't wear out as much. All the financial planners want to say, whatever you're spending now, you're going to need twice as much as when you're retired. I don't find it to be true. So I don't think you need that much. I think 50%. I think, well, we'll get to that. So how much money do you need right now to pay your bills every month? Write that number down. That would be your mortgage, your car payment, your debts, your utilities. How much do you need to get to the next month? So write that number down. And then it says 50% of that. So like my survival number is about $7,000 a month. That's what I need. That's what I spend. I spend more than that because those are all luxury items and whatever, but $7,000 a month, I can eat, I can pay my utilities, I can buy clothes, I can go on a vacation. 7,000 a month spending. And so with this, it'd say, take that number and multiply it by 150%. So that would be about $10,500 I'll need in the future. That makes sense? So everybody do that. So that's what you need when you're retired. So now divide that number by $4,000 a month. It says 4,100, just do $4,000. So like Fee, I'll pick on Fee for a minute. So Fee is like the best dressed guy I ever met. He drives fancy cars. He does lots of stuff. He likes to spend money. He needs more money than other people, which is fine. He's in the right industry. He could make it. So let's say Fee needs he spends $10,000 a month right now. So he'd need $15,000 a month in retirement. That'd be a pretty good retirement. What do you guys think? Spend 12, save 3 a month, go on 3 times 12 is 36. Go on 3 $10,000 vacations a year. It'd be a pretty good life. It'd be a pretty good life. So $15,000 a month divided by 4,100. So we take $15,000, we go 4,100 upon 15,000, 4,100 divide. He needs 3.65 million, P. You need 3.65 million in the bank when you retire. You think it's a lot. It's not a lot. You're going to see that in a minute. So you need 3.65. So you write that down. He needs 3.65 million in order to be able to tell clients you're not the right fit. That'd be pretty cool. Like that's the ultimate dream for me. So then how much cash net worth do you have right now? Write that number down. So that would be 401ks, savings, investments, old 401ks from old jobs, money that you have in the bank of any kind, whether it be stocks, bonds, regular checking and savings, or retirement. Write that number down. For some of you, it's not a very big number yet. It's okay. You got lots of time. So you take that and you go to the next line and you say, how much do I need to save between now and the time I retire? Which means you take the 3.65 million and you subtract what you have in the bank right now. And then you'll know how many millions you need. So if you have no savings and debt, right, you would add the debt to that number because that's how much you got to save. Questions so far? Pretty easy. It gets a little more complicated in a minute. All right. So now you write down, how much longer do you want to work? How much longer are you going to work, Jay?
About 20, 25 years. I can't sit at home and do nothing.
I'm like you. I don't sit very well. I think I'll work till I'm about 68 and I'm 53. So I think I got a good 15 years left to kick everybody's butt. That's how I think. So you write down how many years you have left to work. Write the number down. Fee, how old are you? Fee. Okay, Chelsea, how old are you?
28,
28. How long are you gonna work?
another 35 years,
What's that make you? How old?
60, 62.
Okay, 62. So 62. So 25 more years?
Sure.
Was that what you said, or 35?
I said 35, but it's okay.
Oh, you guys are young. God, what happened, Jay? I used to be young.
Yeah, that's
You're
what I
still
said.
young. It's fine.
35 years. How much longer you need to work? 35 years. So it's not even on here. Let's go with 30. Is that okay?
It's fine.
All right. So if you're gonna save 30 years, if 30 years, number 3 is 7.5. So you multiply, let's see, you multiply line number 3. If you have any money in the bank, by 7.5. What that means is if you never touch, if you just left that money for 35 years in the stock market, in the S&P index, you multiply it by 7.5, and that's how much it would be worth. So Fee, you were on a call. If it's 50 grand you have in the bank, so, and you were gonna work 30 more years, that alone would be 375 grand. Make sense? It's the miracle of compound interest, and it's the time value of money. So you guys, listen, when I first got into business, I always felt like I would start saving money once I got a big chunk. That makes sense?
Yes.
You ever feel that way, Jay?
Always.
Like, that's all, I'm like, not yet, not yet. I'll get a big chunk and then I'll start. And that's not how we do it. We start today and we start with 50 bucks. And then we just keep upping it. We get used to the money not being there. So don't wait for a big chunk. So that tells you that number. So we go to line 7, subtract line 2, which is how many millions you need, from line 7, which is how much money your money will be when you retire. And that gives you the number of money you got to save over the time you're going to work. You guys all look like deer in the headlights. Are you following me?
Yeah, you're jumping
Yes.
around.
Okay, cool. Line
Yeah.
number 8, you take line 7 and you multiply it by 70% for compounding. So you're going to lessen it. So Fee, if yours was 3 million, you're going to write down 2.1 million. Right? Because money earns money. Okay. So then line 9, you take line 8 and divide it by the number of months left to work. You're going to share your number with me, Chelsea?
Are you watching me calculate? I'm not doing his numbers, I'm doing mine.
Yeah, do yours. So you're gonna work for 30 more years. 30 times 12 is 300 and, what is it? 360?
hmm
So 360 more months you're gonna work. It's a lot of months.
I see what you're saying.
So if you take the amount of money you gotta save, we've already adjusted it for accruing interest and all of that.
Mhm.
How much money do you gotta save per month? It's okay, we'll go slow. This is important stuff. Like, how many hours of work a week do you work, Jay?
Right now, I'm part-time, dude. I've been sick for the last year, so, but normally I'd say 40 to 50 if I'm going good.
Cool. So you work 50 hours a week times 4 weeks a month, that's 200 hours, right?
Something like that.
Yeah,
Depends.
so if you work 200 hours in a month to make money, don't you think we should spend about an hour a month really focusing on the money?
That's a good idea.
Makes sense to me. So that's what we're doing right now. So we're gonna struggle through this together. Chelsea, you got it? Or you
Yes,
need
but
some help?
it looks like a lot, so
How
I'm
much?
thinking I did it wrong.
Well, how much money? I'll do it for you
Don't
real
have
quick.
to.
How much money do you need to spend a month when you retire?
About 15,000.
Okay, so 15 grand. So then, and So how much money you got in the bank?
250.
250 grand?
Mhm.
Shoot.
What?
That's pretty cool. Okay, so 250 grand. And so where are we at line? And then you adjusted it up. And how much was it when you adjusted it up?
Well, I did it wrong because it says I
Well, I'll
need to
do
put
it for
away
you.
11 grand.
7.5. 7.5 times, it'll be 1.8 million
Right.
in 30 years. How much money do you need to retire?
The big number, I did it wrong. I
3
did the whole
million or
thing
4 million? What'd you need?
4 and
Four.
a half.
So you take 4.5 minus 1.8. You need to save 3 million bucks.
Mhm.
So take 3 million bucks and divide it by 360.
That's what I did.
How much is it?
8,300.
8,300 bucks a month. That's what you need to save.
Mhm.
Cool. So that's what you need to save. So then you follow the 30, 30, 10, 30 rule, which is 30 goes to IRS. That's a bunch of stuff. The rest of it is kind of just not that important. So you need to save 8,300 bucks a month. So right now, how much do you save in 401k?
10%.
So what does that usually average out to be?
2,000, 3,000-ish,
A month?
roughly.
So let's say it's 2 grand. So now you only need to save 6,300 more. But listen, you'll be one of the top 1% wealthy people in America.
I'm okay with that.
Well, if you are, you are. But I think this form, guys, you got to fill it out, be real, and you'll realize what you really got to do. So if it's crazy fee and it's way outside your reach, you have 2 choices. What are they?
The mega.
So if you look at this number and it's like, man, I gotta save 15 grand a month for retirement, and I don't know if I could ever do that. You have 2 choices.
You gotta make
One
more
is-
money or spend less
One is
money.
make more money, and 2 is lower your retirement goal. So maybe you blend it. How many people you think retire spending 15 grand a month?
Not very many, but I
Not
want
very
to.
many, Chelsea. The other thing that you got to subtract from that 83, from that number that they don't do in this form anymore is how much of that income is going to be through Social Security or pensions. So we simplified the form because people get really confused. But let's say you need 15 grand a month and you and your husband both work, and you look at the little Social Security sheet and it says between the 2 of you, you're going to get 5 grand a month,
Mhm.
right? So now you only need 10 grand a month from your investment,
Mhm.
which lowers that savings goal. And let's
Do
say
you-
your husband works for the fire department, he's going to get a pension of another 5 grand a month. Now it's a lot lower. So what this form doesn't take into play is if you're going to have a pension and the Social Security income that you're going to get.
That's helpful.
Yes.
So how do you adjust if it's not, or I guess if it's non-taxable, you just adjust for the percentage you're not paying for tax, right? Like just like life. Mm,
Yeah, you're saying what if you're saying if I'm making 15,000, I'm really only going to get 8?
Yeah,
Yeah, so this is 5% is a rate of return on a tax-free municipal bond. So there's no taxes on it. When you get older, like about my age, maybe a little older, you got to get out of the risky stuff and into the secure stuff. But that's not till you're about 55 or 60. So Jay, how old are you?
39.
So I'm the only old man on the call. So right now I'm moving my money into tax-free municipal bonds slowly. So then fee, what that means is that the money I get from that is not taxable. So that's what you put it in when you get older. That was a good question. Other questions? Yes, Ryan.
How would you change the math? What would the math look like if you have people who are building their nest egg in real estate and rental properties?
I don't really like rental properties in excess. When it comes to rental properties, I think it's good to have a couple and maybe 3 or 4. I think unless you're going to be a property manager, once you get to a bunch, you really got to pay attention and stay on top. Like you're supposed to visit the property twice a year and inspect it, right? So the reason you do that is to make sure they're not thrashing it and get them out of there if they are. If you ignore it and they're thrashing it, pretty soon they stop paying rent because they don't like where they live. Pretty soon you go 3 months without rent, you go through eviction costs, and you got to pay to clean it. Ask me how I know.
Because you've dealt with it before.
Yes, and it ain't cheap, dude. All the money you made on the rental is all gone plus some. So rentals are not good if you're not going to be active. That's number one. So number two is you have to look at the real, like, I'll give you a story. A friend of mine just bought a house. She happens to have a rich family. They bought her $1.5 million house. Pretty cool, right? So she pays $2,000 a month in rent. She was renting a house. Pays $2,000 a month in rent. They bought her $1.5 million house. I said, do you realize that the rent is the same? She's like, what are you talking about? I said, well, you pay 1 1/4 property tax on that 1.5 million. That's about $1,700 a month. And you got to have insurance about another $150. And your landlord paid your utilities, and that's going to be about $400 a month. So the truth is your expenses went up. So on a rental property, people are renting it for this number and they don't really realize it's not cash flowing quite the way they think it is. So I try not to answer that question, Ryan. In case you couldn't tell. If you got that many, you already know the answer. And if you don't, be careful. Like if you're going to buy, I'll give you a rule of thumb. If you're going to buy an investment property, it has to cash flow and make you money at 75% of what it rents for. So if it rents for $2,000, the most the house payment can be is $1,500 a month, or don't do it. All right, good questions. Any other questions on this? Oh, that's so exciting. You guys are so happy. Let's go to the lead tracker. So I'm going to tell you how you can make the money you need to make and track some numbers for you and give you some conversion rates, because we paid attention to this stuff for 20 years. And I think it's important. So first of all, if you don't have a lead tracking system, get one. I'm about to show you one and you can get it from your loan officer. So I believe in old school. It's going to come up on the screen in a second, Ryan, when Rebecca gets back to her desk or something. Did she leave? There she goes. Give me the instructions first, if you don't mind. So I know that there's all kinds of fancy CRMs and all kinds of software programs and all kinds of follow-up stuff. And I don't think that me or Jay use them very well. I think that most people don't use them very well. I don't think it's top of mind. So what we do is have a folder to track our leads in, and it's always with us and always on our desk, because we believe that that leads are the most important thing. So this form that we will send you, I'm not going to read it to you. This is instructions on how to fill out the lead tracker that you can get from your loan officer. So you're going to have these written instructions. Rebecca, go to the one that's a sample if you could. So I'm going to teach you how to fill it out, and I'm going to show you the conversion rates. Nope, that's personal family budget. So I'm looking for the blue tab on lead tracker that has the instructions. I don't know if you have it. Do you have it? If you don't, you can go back to the blank one and I can make it work. Not the instructions, the one that's a sample. Oops, I misspoke. Yeah, don't worry about it. Go back to the
Give
one
me
you
one
had.
sec. I'll find
No,
it.
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Go back to the one
Okay.
you had. Yeah. So it's a piece of paper, it's printed out, and it's a lead tracking system. So what's the difference between a lead and a prospect? Let's see. I'm going to pick on someone else up. I'll answer. Let's see. Brandis, the difference
don't-
between a lead and a prospect.
I use those terms interchangeably.
They're different.
Like,
A prospect is like you do an open house and someone walks through it. That's a prospect. You pay for Zillow leads and someone went online and filled out a little bit of information. That's a prospect. Now, either one of those you talk to, you find the need and you fill it. They give you their cell phone number and you set a meeting. That's a lead. If your girlfriend, one of your best girlfriends, refers her parents, that's a lead. You see the difference?
Yeah, if they're gonna buy some shit, that's a lead.
That's a little gangster, but yes. If they were referred by another person, it's a lead. If it was advertising It's a prospect until they agree to meet with you, then it's a lead. That's the simplest way to understand it. So on Lead Tracker, we don't put prospects. We don't put prospects, we only put leads. Okay, so then could you put the Lead Tracker up, the blank form? I'll just walk them through it. So this piece of paper, every single lead you get, you write it down. So you're carrying this folder, it's got lead trackers in it, and it's got directions on the left side, and you fill it out. You put one for each month, the month and the year. It's important to fill it out as you go. Jay, imagine if I had every lead you ever got for the last 2 years on a piece of paper with their phone number, and I went through and called them all to find out if they bought a house, if they're still looking, are they interested in selling? Imagine if I did that. You think I'd find a deal?
Should.
I think I'd find a deal. So we got to follow up on our leads better. So we put their name, we put the source in detail. So these acronyms on the right, if you move your mouse over the PCR, so a PCR, and this is all in writing on the directions, is a previous client referral. So most realtors live on PCRs. The second one is a PC. That's when a past client comes back to you. The next one is a PF. That's a personal friend. My high school buddy needs a loan and he calls me. A realtor is a realtor lead. Realtors get leads from other realtors, out of town people, people who are too busy. It's a real source for some realtors. Ad is advertising. Now, advertising would be not the prospects that came through the open house or the prospects that came through Zillow, but the ones that you warmed up and agreed to meet with you, you would count those as leads on here, but not the prospects. Next one is business. That's like an attorney or a financial planner or a restaurant owner that's a friend of yours and refers all his employees. That's business to business. That's a lead category. The next one is builders. Builders refer business. You can get business from small builders as a realtor for sure. And then the last one is CCRs, and that's current client referrals. That means when you're doing a transaction for someone and they feel so great about how you took care of them that they gladly refer their friends and family during their process, that's a CCR. They are 10 times more likely to refer you during escrow than after. So if you're not programming them and talking about that, change your ways. That's a great source for leads. So that's every category that there is. Every lead can be put into one of those categories. What's an open house lead?
Somebody that's wanting to buy or sell in the next
Well,
3 to
yeah,
6.
but on here, yes, you're right. But on here, it's an advertising lead.
Gotcha.
There you go. So everything gets a category. That's professional, and you can keep track of your stuff. So you write down their name, their source, the results of the call. So when you call someone, your goal when you call a lead is to set an appointment. It's not to give them all the information over the phone. It's not any of that. It's like, hey, let's meet. Here's what you get when you meet. Let's meet. When you meet them in person, you're going to have a way likelier chance of converting them. So the results of the call is either the appointment date and time, or you left a message, or it's dead, or you're going to call them in the future. You know those ones, Jay, that say, yeah, we looked at, blah, blah, but you know what? We decided we're not going to buy until next summer. And you say, okay, what month are you thinking? Oh, we'll probably start looking in May again. Okay, is it okay if I call you? Yeah. And then whatever they tell me, I cut it in half and I put it on my calendar to call them. So if they say, call me in 10 months, I call them in 5. I used to call them in 10 months, and what I found out is they already bought a house.
Yep.
So whatever they tell me, I cut it down in half and I put it in my system to call them. And I put that result on here. Then I write their email down and their phone number down. I know it's all in a computer. I know. But every lead goes on here. And then if we go down to the bottom, on the right, go back up, I'm sorry, the number of calls. So every time you attempt, you put a hash mark. Every time you attempt to call them, you put a hash mark so that you know how many times you called them. How many times do you call them before you give up, Brandis? You're one of the only ones with your picture on, so that's why I'm calling on you.
I don't generally give up.
I like that. We say 8 days in a row.
Mhm.
You can change your voice. Hey, it's Brandis again. I don't know if you got this. I want to make sure that if you need something, I take care of it. I'm not trying to be a pest. Hey, listen, if I'm bugging you or you don't want me to call you anymore, call me or text me back and let me know. Otherwise, I'll talk to you tomorrow. You can say that and keep calling, right?
Mhm.
So you don't give up. I think a lot of people write their leads on a sticky note and then call them one time or maybe not at all and then lose the sticky note. And I don't think you're going to admit it on here in public, but I think a lot of us have done that in the past. So this is a more organized system. So then go to the bottom, Rebecca. So this is where we fill out the goal section and the form for our conversion rate. So when I ask salespeople what their conversion rate is for leads, what do they normally say, Brandis?
They don't know.
No, they normally say 80 or 90%. They say, oh, I get all of them. I'm really good. Okay, cool. You're not really good. You don't get all of them. We've tracked it for 27 years. So on the top where it says G, put your mouse over there by the G. A little lower and to the left. See, keep going left, keep going left, keep going left, keep going. There's the G. That's G for goal. So this is what your goal is per month from each category. Put a goal down. We want it to add up to a certain number of leads a month that relates to your closings. So I'm just going to give you, in the interest of time, I'm just going to tell you the math. So if you want to close 2 transactions a month, you need 20 leads a month. The conversion rate for realtors is 10%. It's 10%. Anybody who thinks it's higher either doesn't track it or doesn't put all the leads on there. Like, for example, they called the lead 5 times and they never called them back. That was still a lead. You got their name and number. Or you talk to them and they don't qualify and it's obvious. It's still a lead. They're just not ready yet. If you put all the leads down there and you focus on conversions and you pay attention, for a realtor, you need about 10 leads for every 1 check.
Jim.
Yes, Jay.
So you're saying at 10%, because obviously we're not count prospects. So you need 20 people a month that you set an appointment with, is what you're saying.
Or at least attempted to.
Okay.
They may not ever call you back and they may turn you down, but yes.
Sure.
So, so it's 10%. Now you could beat it by maybe 5% and maybe you could get to 20%, but you'd be the best I ever met. So 10% is a good, safe number. So if you need 2 deals a month, you got to get 20 leads a month. So then you got to set it up by goal. How many are going to be CCRs? Probably 1. How many are going to be PCRs or PC? It's probably going to be a big focus for you. You're probably going to put like 6 and 4. Friends, maybe 1. If you have other realtors that refer you business, you can do that. And what you might find out is you got to get a little busier on the prospecting and the lead generation. Because you got to get to 20 to close 2 deals. And then if we look through the conversion rates, the highest conversion rates on here are the first 3 categories. Believe it or not, personal friends is a little lower because a lot of times they'll talk to you, but they're not serious. So CCRs, PCRs, and PCs have about a 30% conversion rate. So if you want to write that down, you can. 30% conversion rate. Personal friends is about 20%. This is after tracking it for 20 years. Realtor to realtor, that's about 50%. Ad is about 2%, 2 to 5%, depending on how you do it. Business to business, it's about 5%. And then builders, that's much higher. It's about 15%. But most people's leads come from where on here?
I mean, I would say advertisement, right?
Yeah. And that's why that's why it averages out to 10%. So the real, like when you start tracking this, guys, and you have a goal of 20 leads a month and you don't hit it and you're looking at it every day, like, listen, if you want to lose weight, weigh yourself every morning. Every morning. It'll change the way you act during the day. If you want to get more money and more deals, do this lead tracker and look at it every day. When it's the 20th of the month and you only have 5 leads and you're looking at it every day, at some point, you'll get sick of it and you'll do something about it. It'll keep you running and focused forward and moving in the right direction. Awareness, like I was taught a long time ago, if you want to change something in your life, shine a light on it. So this is us shining a light on our leads. How many we have? Are we converting? How many do we need? Are we on pace? Are we on track? Are we following up enough? It's all right here. And I know it seems simple, but it's mandatory. So then over on the right is this box where we convert, and it says 20%, which is super generous. But you take your lead goal of 20 leads times 20% means you would close 4 transactions, listings and buyers. I guess 20% is right because not all buyers convert and not all listings sell. So 20% of getting them as a client, and then about half of those will actually give you a paycheck. You know that buyer you showed 15 houses to and never bought a house? That listing that wouldn't lower their price and wouldn't accept any of the offers, you know what I'm talking about. So 20% convert, and then only half of those go to a paycheck, and that helps you with your math. At the bottom, it says the perfect model. Database is a quarter of your closings. Business people is a quarter of your closings. Your top 50 is your best 50 past clients. You'll get a quarter of your closings from there, and it says other, which is advertising, is about a quarter of your closings. That's like a real estate model that's sustainable for the long haul. So I just gave you how much money you need to retire, and I gave you a system for tracking your leads so you can meet your savings goal. So if you focus on these 2 things, just these 2 tools each month, it'll keep you moving forward in your business. The biggest struggle in our business, I think, is we don't really have a boss. If you don't want to go to work today, Jay, you don't got to go to work. No one's going to yell at you.
This is true.
The best part of our business is no one tells us what we're worth. We decide. We can do as many deals as we want or not, make as much money as we want or not. All we have to do is keep learning new skills. Keep learning new skills. How to do an open house better. How to do a listing and presentation better. How to do buyer presentation better. All we got to do is keep learning new skills. So the purpose of these calls, and I'm being mindful of my time, we're going to wrap up, is to keep giving you skills once a month throughout the year for you to add them to your game and hopefully propel your business. So questions on Lead Tracker or anything that I talked about, I'll take a few questions and I'll let you guys go. Keith, nobody? Anyone? All right. So here's what you do. We got 3 more things that we were going to go over. There's just too much data. A personal family budget, that savings form that I taught you, Lead Tracker and the directions. If you need any, I highly recommend you reach out to the loan officer that brought you, get those forms. And if you really want to propel your business, what I do and some of my loan officers do is meet with our realtor clients once a month. Go over their Lead Tracker, just go meet with someone once a month and go over what your results were. What worked, what didn't. So then the next month, maybe you'll get a little better. And then you meet again. The next month, maybe you'll get a little better. And when you do that for a year, all those little get betters times 12 means your business will get a lot better. Oh, I get some nods, a little bit of smiles. It's very threatening to do a lecture all day, Matt. Makes me very insecure, but that's okay. All right, guys, thank you for being on the call. We're going to do one next month. You'll get marketed to and emailed to. I hope you can make it. See you later. Bye.